Hi, and welcome to the Diamond Report for Friday, May 5th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. It is currently 11:42 p.m., and we are looking at Earthquake 3D, focused in right now on the magnitude 4.2 quake that happened just off the coast of Oregon in the Gorda Escarpment area. I mentioned this on last night's earthquake update. And the only reason I'm showing you that is because at the time I mentioned we would see movement from the west coast, where this happened, down the North American craton to the east, because we always see movement that starts in the west and goes east. And that is exactly what we've seen. Let me back this off so we can see more quakes and just look at the last 24 hours. So the last 24 hours, obviously that 4.2 went away, but you can see the line here that it's making. Right down, again, the North American craton goes down the Rockies, down here into well into Texas, southern Texas, and goes right back up here through the New Madrid seismic zone, and then curves back around, and then goes through a few southern states here, Alabama, Georgia, and so on, and goes up the eastern seaboard. And you can see just in the last 24 hours, after that 4.2 out here, that's now dropped off the map because I've moved the date slider here, you can see these other quakes, all magnitude 2s. Here's a 2.5 here, but they're all small quakes except for this 3.5 out here in Oklahoma or southern Kansas. You can tell, though, that it's going right along the North American craton edge. So that's really interesting. It just further proves the point that that's exactly what happens. So looking at the last 24 hours of earthquakes globally, we do have a new earthquake, deep earthquake out here near North Japan that we'll need to watch and see where that ends up causing further shallower movement. It's just over the 200-kilometer mark, so it does qualify as a deep quake, but sometimes when we have quakes up there in this area, in the north area of Japan, kind of between Japan and you know, China and the tip here of Russia, you know, when quakes happen there, sometimes they will filter down and cause further movement down here in and around the Himalayas, around Nepal. So we'll have to watch and see if that's the case this time. Now, in the last 24 hours, you can see we've got a pretty big ring right here. This is Tajikistan, and it is a magnitude 6.0 with a number of other aftershocks right on top of it, mostly in the 4s range. And also, last night's Diamond Report, I mentioned that we would see movement up here north, on the north end of Sumatra, between there and, let me turn these rings off, between here and India. And that's already happened. So we've got a magnitude 5.0 here that's happened off of these, just off of these little islands right here. That's actually part of India, those islands are. As well as a magnitude almost to 5.0, 4.5 to 5.0 over here in Laos. So we've already seen some movement there. That may not be the end of it, but that's already happened just since the earthquake update last night. So anyway, that's all I had for tonight's quick earthquake update. Let's move on to the headlines. Lawrence Fishburne's daughter blames political situation under Trump for her DUI. Media hysterics have managed to convince the average liberal they're living under the Third Reich. That's from Information Liberation. Shocking footage: Venezuelan National Guard truck drives through crowd of dissidents. That's on shtfplan.com. It seems as if security forces are brutally cracking down on dissidents on a daily basis now. The best thing that Trump has done so far, this is from Michael Snyder of the Economic Collapse blog, and according to Michael Snyder, that was a very close vote, and it's the best thing Trump has done so far. He says here that Trump care is far from perfect, but it actually does very little to fix our rapidly failing healthcare system. I would argue the point that it's not, you can call it a healthcare system, but it's not healthcare. There's no health involved in it. It's just symptom or disease management. That's what our healthcare system is. It's not healthcare. actual healthcare would not involve any of the things that they do, that Big Pharma does. So it's actually disease management system. That's what I'm going to call it. But on the plus side, and what Michael Snyder is actually talking about, he says here, the reason why this is the best thing that Trump has done so far is because this bill would greatly reduce federal funding for Planned Parenthood. And if it does that, it is a good thing, at least to some degree. And then, of course, it has to go through the Senate before it can become law, and that is looking extremely doubtful at this point. I would totally agree with that. I don't think it's ever going to become law. We'll see what happens in the Senate. It was such a narrow vote. It was only a difference of 4 votes here. 217 members of the House voted in favor, and 213 voted against it. Again, let's just dump the whole thing. Let's not have any healthcare system. Let's not have any disease management system, and go back to the way it was before any of this nonsense ever happened. That's the best thing that we could do. Russia denies, no, we did not plant secret nuclear tsunami bombs along the U.S. coast. Several weeks ago, a Russian military expert named Viktor Baronet made headlines when he warned that Russia has planned an asymmetric response to any U.S. threat of war. This is on shtfplan.com. Okay, so who's telling the truth? Do we believe the official story here, or do we believe this military expert who says that they exist? So it's either one or the other. Which is it? A church organist paints Heil Trump and a gay slur on his or her own church to mobilize movement. I'm very sad to have created more hate in a world that already has too much hate. Well, why didn't you think about that before you did that? That's on the American Mirror. Washington Post advocates the overthrow of anti-Soros, anti-migrant Hungarian PM Orbán. Soros operatives working to destabilize Hungary. That's from Information Liberation. Yeah, of course, they want to take down anyone who opposes anything that's anti-migrant. And that's what Soros does best, is creates chaos and civil war in places where it never existed before in order to bring in a new solution, which would be his solution. On video, pro-migrant French are asked to house a refugee and all refuse. Progressive leftists suddenly lose their humanitarianism when faced with reality. That's because to them, humanitarianism is what other people do. They want to support what other people do and force others to do what they think is politically correct. They don't want to do it themselves, and this proves that. North Korea accuses U.S. and South Korea of assassination attempt. North Koreans claim failed biochemical weapons attack on Kim. Obama says Trump presidency like watching a business he'd built for 8 years being slowly ripped down. Former president views Trump with fear and sad frustration. Well, at least that's good news. However, it's arguable that Trump is actually ripping that much down. It seems to me like he's building more on top of what Obama was already doing, having fully embraced the deep state at this point, in my opinion. From Fox News, U.S. Navy SEAL killed in Somalia. First combat death of a U.S. service member in Somalia since 1993. Well, more stupidity from the New York Times. New York Times smears Le Pen and French patriots as, quote, racist extremists. That's real original, guys. That's all they can think of, apparently, is just calling people racist and extremists. Clinton insider Huma Abedin deserves a criminal investigation. Well, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, that should happen. Whether it will happen is another question. A report, Congress holding, quote, secret conversations about removing Trump. Critics pushing impeachment or removal under 25th Amendment. Well, they may do that. But right now, he seems to be giving the deep state almost everything they want. Not everything, but a lot of what they want. So getting rid of him, to me, would only put in another globalist like a Pence or someone like that, who might potentially give them more of what they want. But they're already getting part of what they want, sort of in slow motion, with Trump. Rand Paul requests info on whether Obama surveilled him. That's from The Hill. Cyborg eye could help blind see. Synthetic material made of soft water droplets and biological cell proteins. That's on the Daily Mail. Comey pressed for anti-Trump dossier in classified Russia report, sources say. FBI director insists a document be included in January's final intelligence community report on Russian meddling. That's on Fox News. Prosecutors drop rape charges against 2 illegals accused of sodomizing a 14-year-old girl in school. Defense attorneys have maintained the bathroom encounter on March 16th was consensual. Somehow, I doubt that. That's on the Daily Mail. In a John Bound report, commies illegally use college campuses to swell numbers. Now, ABC, CBS, and NBC refuse to run Trump campaign ad blasting them as fake news. That's on the Daily Mail as well. Campaign planned to put $1.5 million behind a 30-second ad. They don't care about money because many of them are getting tax dollars anyway. So if you don't care about money, then you don't have to run Donald Trump's ads in this case, because they're not going out of business. They have tax money coming in to their coffers. So why do they care? Of course they're going to refuse it. Paul Joseph Watson, a video, The Truth About Macron, what they're not telling you about the French election. Obama unveils monument to his failures. Chicago to get monument to Obama instead of help with out-of-control murder rate. Well, that's part of his monument. He's helped to build that. So, in a way, they kind of already did get a monument. That's his legacy, is out-of-control murder rate and a place where no one can have guns except the criminals. That's part of the problem in Chicago, is the very strict gun laws that they have there. And, of course, only the bad guys have guns. The secret court used to justify government spying. Learn how the FISA court is used to subvert the Constitution. Emergency, Roger Stone breaks down globalist plan to overthrow Trump. Find out exactly how the elite plan on attacking Trump next. Yeah, well, if you ask me, that Trump is creating his own problems as much as anything that anyone else is doing to him. He seems to be playing along nicely with the deep state, in my opinion. Planned Parenthood admits abortion is murder. Well, isn't that nice? I think that's obvious to most people now. Leading American abortion provider confesses to being immoral. How governments outlaw affordable housing. Renters live in smaller and smaller units. It's on Mrs.org. Yeah, that's part of Agenda 21, which is now called Agenda 2030. They keep shrinking the size of the dwelling places down so that eventually you only have a couple of 100 square feet. And they want that for everybody. They want everybody to live in stack and packs in mega cities and have nothing but total, utter surveillance of your life. And they can do that by putting us in 200 square foot little boxes and call that affordable housing. North Korea claims CIA planned biochemical attack to Kim Jong-un. North Korea claims CIA planned biochemical attack to kill Kim Jong-un. Biochemical weapon, described as a radioactive or nano-poisonous substance, was to be used during military parade. I'm not sure what evidence they have, but that kind of thing right there, that accusation, whether it's true or false, is the kind of thing that wars start over. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Law & Order SVU smears Alex Jones and InfoWars in Pizzagate-based episode. SVU investigator accuses Alex Jones' style character of being a fraud. Of course, they're not going to use Alex's real name, but they can make it look and sound exactly like the real guy and the real company. And then so that way you don't have a doubt who they're talking about. Macron's French presidential campaign emails leaked online. Some 9 gigabytes of data were posted by a user called EMLeaks to Pastebin. 9 gigabytes is an awful lot of emails. So I don't know if there's attachments involved, but that is a lot of data. Congress plans to cancel Obama's government pension following the news of $400,000 speaking fees and a $65 million book deal. Now, why would they do that? I mean, Bill Clinton does some of the same stuff, and he still has his pension as far as I know. I highly doubt that that's ever going to happen. Amazing, CNN admits Democrats lied to America to sell Obamacare. That's on the Gateway Pundit. Liberal organization invests millions to create master blacklist, will starve conservative sites from advertising. We're already seeing that go into play now. Obama interferes in French presidential race, endorses Macron over populist candidate Marine Le Pen. Well, of course he does. That's what he does. He meddles in other affairs like this. ISIS calls on Muslims in France to launch election day attacks. That's on Zero Hedge. Words don't come easy. West will silently admit Syria didn't use poison gas. That's on Sputnik News. U.S. Army preparing for battle for Seoul with South Korea military shakeup. That's on Sputnik News as well. UK government plans to ban encryption and spy on all communications in real time. News organization asks Trump to declassify Obama's unmasking requests on political opponents. That's on Zero Hedge. World's first ever malaria vaccine to be tested on innocent Africans in global depopulation scheme. That's on Natural News. And also on Natural News, breast cancer detection bra will never see the light of day thanks to the deadly mammogram racket. And again, with mammograms, and just like much of the other cancer type testing, it often causes cancer itself. And a couple of articles from Paul Craig Roberts, what the North Korean crisis is really about, and Sauron rules in Washington. The neoconservatives think that Washington's first strike will so badly damage the Russian and Chinese retaliatory capabilities that both governments will surrender rather than launch a response. That's crazy. I think they're dreaming. A Turkish official says we may launch rockets at U.S. forces in Syria, quote, by accident. That's on Breitbart. James Comey avoids testifying on Dem doc reportedly showing Attorney General Lynch protecting Hillary. The State Department told to release new Benghazi emails from Hillary's server. That's on Daily Caller. Brussels crosses its fingers for a Macron victory over Le Pen as EU officials break protocol to support pro-Europe candidate in the French presidential election. Puerto Rico to close more than 180 schools, leaving 27,000 pupils in limbo, with the island's low birth rate and economic crisis blamed for call as thousands move to U.S. mainland. France, another FU. That's from Zero Hedge. Warning ISIS terrorists are using fake ads on sites like Craigslist and eBay to lure victims. From Mike Adams of Natural News, vaccine rage phenomenon may explain global increase in anger, violence, and insanity. Trump's latest appointee was accused of sexually assaulting male students 5 times. That's on the Free Thought Project. On the warpath, Clinton building new political group to counter Trump's agenda. That's on Sputnik News. Declaration of war. Russian MPs blast U.S. plans to enforce North Korea sanctions on foreign territory. That's from RT. Russia, Iran, Turkey ban U.S. planes above Syrian safe zones. That's on Zero Hedge. Trump Care is Obamacare 2.0. That's from Dave Hodges. And also from Dave Hodges, China just told the U.S. what is coming. Paul Craig Roberts warns American democracy is a dead man walking. Are the real powers that be going to make an example out of Trump so that never again does a person running for elected office make a populist appeal to the electorate? Insanity. Now the FDA wants to criminalize pizza toppings. That's from Natural News. Of course, Maybe that has to do with Pizzagate, huh? Science has outgrown the human mind and its limited capacities. This is on singularityhub.com. Steve says, wow, what a line of scientific contempt for God's magnificent creation, man in his image and likeness, before the fall of man. Time travel is mathematically possible, and we have a model for a time machine, scientists say. That's on messagetoeagle.com. 4 new human rights for when our brains are hooked up to computers. This is on singularityhub.com. And Steve says, I doubt the supernatural possession of machines by evil spirits will respect these rules. What sinister wickedness controls beyond the veil of AI? Historic flooding hits Missouri and Arkansas, more heavy rain on the way. Well, that flooding is a result of geoengineering, either indirectly or directly. It may not have been planned, but it is a result of all of the geoengineering that's going on. The weather systems and the weather patterns are totally off the rails. And for more information, just go to geoengineeringwatch.org. Netflix begins science purge to remove all genetics education from science videos in order to appease left-wing, gender-fluid lunatics like Bill Nye, the fake science guy. Steve says, what insanity and agenda bias. Dark web. ISIS is building its own secret social media platform to rival Facebook, where fanatics can recruit new jihadis and share vile beheading videos. Well, why don't they just use Facebook? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg fully supports ISIS, so it seems to me like that platform's already in place. Victory. Supreme Court rules states cannot steal money from the innocent. That's on activistpost.com. From the Daily Mail, is your money safe? Bank hack could affect millions of customers around the world by intercepting two-step login verification code. True Legends, the 3rd DVD, Holocaust of Giants, is now available for immediate viewing on Vimeo and purchase. View the trailer here. Yeah, I just, because I'm going on this Cusco, Peru trip, that's a True Legends conference and expedition. They sent me a VIP pass to watch the film, the new film, Holocaust of Giants. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. Is the U.S. House trying to declare war? House bill on port controls amount to declaration of war. That's from a Russian senator. That's on ChristianTruther.com. Okay, that's all for today's Diamond Report. Thanks for listening and watching. And as usual, please, if you disagree with what I say, if you don't like what I say, if you don't like the sources I used, if you don't like the color of the background behind me, if you don't like my shirt, if you don't like anything about me, just please tune it out, turn it off, find something else to watch, go watch Netflix, go do something else, and don't complain to me. I don't want to hear it. I'll see you tomorrow.